Let's create some 3D forms. If we go back to using this shape tool that we learned to use, and you select maybe a circular shape, I can make a very tiny little circle. In this case, just want to make a small circular shape. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my extrusion from that 3D extrusion from path I can select here. And so I can see that I have an extrusion right here. It's a very tiny little piece, kind of looks like a little peg. But what I want to do is I want to make that extrusion much, much deeper. Because since we started to talk about making some shapes that we might use for food, in this case, we can go ahead and make this very long as we want, or as short as we want. And we can make this shape square instead of a circle and make a french fry out of it. We can also take this and use this particular tool right here where it says horizontal angle, and I can bend it, and I can kind of move it around like this to the left or to the right. And if I do the vertical angle, I can also go up and down with it. Now if I also use this twist to it, I can also kind of twist it around and spin it and turn this into something that might look like a noodle. So imagine if I had a bunch of these kind of twirled around in different angles and shapes, possibly maybe like this or whatever other shapes we can kind of come up with this. There's a number of things that we could do to make this look maybe like a bunch of noodles, and we might be able to create some spaghetti and meatballs. Speaking of spaghetti and meatballs, let's go ahead and see what we can make a sphere, how we can make an actual sphere. So if let me go to my layers and turn this off, and let me just create a new layer. And if I have a new layer and I fill it with some kind of color, in this case I'm just going to use, say, a brown or something like that, and just fill that entire layer with that color. And I'm going to go up to my 3D, and this time we're going to do something a little different. If I go down to where it says New Mesh from Layer, I can select where it says Mesh Presets, and you can see that there's a few preset shapes that we can actually create here. You can have some fun working with this, but for right now we're going to try to create a meatball. So I'm going to use a sphere, and now I have myself a ball. You'll notice that the ball is kind of brown, but it doesn't necessarily look like a meatball. It just kind of looks like a really nice smooth shaped kind of a ball. But I can select that particular shape, and over here this tool will allow me to make it smaller or bigger. And if I wanted to change the texture of that, I can go here, making sure that I selected the sphere, which is the actual 3D object in this case, and I select this icon next to the light bulb. This will also bring up the finishing effect of this particular sphere. So remember that we had some textures that we could use here. There's one down here that kind of looks like it could resemble a little bit of a meatball. Maybe if I put that in with a bunch of noodles, it might look like spaghetti and meatballs.